You know someone who keeps going back to the thing that hurts them. Maybe it's a relationship that keeps falling apart, and they keep returning. Maybe it's a habit they've tried to break 100 times, still there. Maybe that someone is you, and you've been calling it weakness. It's not weakness, it's hidden psychology. And it has a name. In this video, we're going to look at exactly why people love what hurts them. Not just romantic relationships, food, work, substances, digital habits, all of it. The same psychological forces run through all of them. The same hidden wiring. Understanding that wiring doesn't make you weak, it makes you dangerous. Dangerous to the patterns that have been running your life. Let's start with the most counterintuitive fact in all of psychology. Pain and pleasure are processed in overlapping brain regions. They're neighbors. Sometimes they activate each other. That's where everything in this video begins. Right there. The core mechanism is called intermittent reinforcement. Remember that term. It means sometimes you get a reward, sometimes you don't. Unpredictably. B.F. Skinner discovered this creates the strongest possible behavioral bond, stronger than always getting a reward, stronger than never getting one. Think about slot machines. They pay out randomly. That's not a bug. It's the point. Now, apply that to a relationship where someone is sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Your brain reads that as a slot machine and starts playing. The warm moments become the jackpot. The cold ones become the reason to keep going. You're not chasing the person. You're chasing the next jackpot. This is why consistency feels boring and chaos feels like chemistry. The chemistry you feel is real. It's just not what you think it is. It's your nervous system in a state of hyperarousal. Stress hormones reading as excitement. Your body is sounding an alarm. Your brain is calling it passion. Understanding this doesn't mean the feelings aren't real. They absolutely are. Now, let's go deeper into something called trauma bonding. Trauma bonding happens when cycles of abuse are mixed with cycles of affection. The reconciliation phase, the apology, the sweetness, triggers massive dopamine release. That spike after pain is more intense than pleasure without pain. Your brain literally gets higher from the good times because of the bad times. This is why the good memories in toxic relationships feel so vivid. They're chemically enhanced. The contrast made them shine brighter than they were. Stockholm Syndrome is the extreme version. You protect what harms you, but you don't need extreme trauma to experience a version of this. Mild inconsistency over time creates the same attachment chemistry, just more slowly. The parent who was sometimes warm, sometimes critical. The boss who praised and cut. These create attachment styles that follow you into adulthood. This isn't about blame. Your parents were probably shaped the same way. It's about understanding the wiring you inherited, so you can rewire. There's a concept in psychology called repetition compulsion. We unconsciously recreate familiar emotional environments, even painful ones. Not because we enjoy pain, because familiarity feels like safety. The nervous system prefers the known devil over the unknown angel. This is why nice feels suspicious, why calm feels boring. When someone treats you consistently well, it can feel wrong, off, too easy. Your nervous system calibrated to the storm. Calm sea reads as threat. And then you unconsciously create turbulence to feel at home. This explains the person who always picks unavailable partners, the one who self-sabotages right when things get good, the one who works at a job that exhausts them and can't explain why they stay. Same mechanism, different stage, the familiar wound calling you home. Freud called it the repetition compulsion. Later researchers called it trauma reenactment. Whatever you call it, your nervous system is trying to master an old wound. Let's talk about self-sabotage, because it's one of the most misunderstood behaviors. Self-sabotage is not about wanting to fail. It's about fear of what comes after success. Success is unfamiliar territory, and unfamiliar means dangerous to the nervous system. If you grew up where success was punished or envied, success feels unsafe. So, when you get close to something good, you pull the trigger on yourself, starting a fight, missing the deadline, drinking the night before the interview. It's not stupidity. It's your subconscious protecting you from the unknown. The protection is outdated. It made sense once. It doesn't fit your life now. Imposter syndrome lives in this same territory, the feeling that you don't deserve good things, that it's only a matter of time before exposure. High achievers are hit hardest by this. The higher you climb, the more exposed you feel. The solution isn't to feel more confident. It's to take action before confidence arrives. Confidence is a byproduct of doing, not a prerequisite. Do it afraid. The doing changes the wiring. That's the whole game. Let's talk about what staying in these patterns actually costs. The most obvious cost is time. Years spent in loops that don't move forward. The less obvious cost is identity. You start to confuse the wound with who you are. I am someone who always gets hurt. I am someone who can't have good things. These aren't truths. They're conclusions drawn from repeated painful experiences. And conclusions drawn from limited data can be updated when you get new data. The third cost is energy. These patterns are exhausting to maintain. Hypervigilance, reading every room, managing everyone's emotions, constant scanning. People in these patterns are often exhausted, and they don't know why, because the pattern runs in the background like an app you forgot to close. The fourth cost is potential. The version of you that exists on the other side of the pattern, not a perfect version, just a freer one that isn't spending half its energy surviving the loop. That version of you is not waiting for perfect circumstances. It's waiting for a decision, not a perfect decision, just a different one than you've been making. Okay, so how does change actually happen? Not in theory, in practice. First, you have to name what's happening. The pattern needs a label. I am caught in intermittent reinforcement is more useful than I am stupid. Naming removes you slightly from the experience, creates the observer position. Second, you need to tolerate the discomfort of doing something different. When you break the pattern, your nervous system will scream that something is wrong. That discomfort is the old wiring fighting the new behavior. It's not a sign to stop. Third, new experiences need to be repeated until they become the new familiar. This is neuroplasticity. New neural pathways form through repetition. The old pathway doesn't disappear, but the new one becomes the preferred route. Therapy works because it creates a relationship where the new is consistently safe. Somatic work targets the nervous system directly. Body before mind. Community and safe relationships do the same, through exposure and repetition. You don't have to do all three, you just have to start somewhere. Let's talk about what actually becomes possible when the pattern breaks. First, you stop mistaking anxiety for excitement. You start to read your body accurately. Threat versus genuine opportunity. Second, calm starts to feel like safety, not like boredom. This is one of the most profound shifts, when safety stops feeling suspicious. Third, you stop choosing based on familiarity. You start choosing based on values. That's when relationships stop being about completing old business and start being about genuine connection, curiosity, presence. Fourth, your energy stops leaking into survival mode. That energy goes somewhere, into building, creating, connecting, resting. Fifth, you become less judgmental of others in the same patterns, because you see the hidden psychology, not the weakness. That shift in perception changes how you show up for people you care about. Healing isn't linear, and it doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means the past stops having veto power over your present choices. You're not broken. You adapted to an environment that needed this kind of adaptation. The adaptation made sense then. The question is whether it serves you now. That's the only question worth asking. Not, why am I like this? Why is a dead end? It keeps you in the story. Does it serve me? Is a door. You love what hurts you because your brain learned to associate them. But learning can go in both directions. And you already know that. The hidden psychology isn't hidden anymore. Now you have a map. A map doesn't walk the path for you, but you don't have to stay in the loop. That's the truth this video started with. And you're not weird for being in it. You're human, specifically wired by experience. And experience can be added to. If this gave you something, subscribe. We do this every week. See you next time. Be patient with yourself this week.